Hello, everyone. This is Howard Fox, and welcome back for another episode of the Outdoor Adventure Series podcast, where we celebrate individuals and families, businesses, and organizations that seek out and promote the exploration, stewardship, conservation, access, and enjoyment of the outdoors. Amanda Boring is our guest today. Amanda is the Executive Director for the Vinton County Department of Tourism. Amanda, it's a pleasure to have you on the podcast. Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate you having me on.
Fantastic. Now, for our listeners' benefit, I cheated a little bit. Where is Vinton County?
So we are in Southeast Ohio, very small town or county. We are the least populated county in Ohio. So we're down a little closer to the Ohio River. We're part of the Appalachian counties in Ohio.
Okay, very nice. And as I was looking at the map, you're like south of Columbus, Ohio.
Mhm. Yes.
Okay. And how far a drive is that?
Depending on where you come from in the county, it's about an hour to an hour and a half.
Okay. Now, is Vinton County, where are you pulling your visitors in for this to kind of experience this destination?
Yeah, so a lot of our visitors come from Columbus, just because it's a quick and easy weekend getaway. We're located right next to Hocking Hills, which is a big state park, some beautiful rock formations and caves, waterfalls and stuff that people like to check out. So they'll come and stay here, and it's only about a 20-minute drive to the caves. Some cabins in the county, though, is like 2 miles away. So depending on where you stay, you're pretty close to that. We do have some people come from like Cleveland, Toledo, and Northern Ohio. And then surprisingly, a lot of people come down from Michigan and then, of course, West Virginia, Kentucky, Pennsylvania, surrounding states.
Okay. Now, coming from Michigan, do you have to check people's allegiance at the border?
No, but I'm sure that there is some turf battles there. But
It's all good. All right. Excellent. So, how did you come to be the executive director for Vinton County Department of Tourism?
yeah, so I grew up in Vinton County, from here, of course. And then I moved away in 2020 for college and I went to West Virginia University. When I graduated college, I had a full-time job during school to pay for my schooling, and I was applying for jobs like because what I was doing wasn't what I wanted to do. And I
Uh,
applied over 60 jobs, and I swore I would never move back to my hometown. And my grandma texted me, and she was like, "Did you see that there's a job with travel and tourism?" And I've always loved to travel. And I was like, "I'm not coming back. Don't even send me the job. It's not happening." And then I got more denials for more jobs, and I was like, "Okay, go ahead and send me the job posting." And then I applied, and I ended up hearing back, and I did the interview process, and I learned a little bit more about the position, and I was like, "Okay, maybe I could do this." And so my plan was to come home for like a year, work the job, get experience, and then move on somewhere else. But then I came home and I fell in love with the job, and I had a different perspective of Vinton County, and I was no longer a high schooler here living in my parents' house, and it was a lot different as an adult coming back after moving away. And then I did briefly live in Pittsburgh because I did get a job right out of college that I didn't love, and so it made me appreciate it a lot more. So that's kinda how I ended up back here.
okay. Excellent. Now, I have to ask, when you went to school, what did you study and as your major?
My major is in journalism, and then I
Okay.
minored in Spanish.
Okay. Well, journalism, and you're like in the perfect spot if you want to write stories about discovering Vinton County. You're in the
Mhm.
absolute best spot. And God bless your grandmother. I mean, grandma knows best, and
Yes, right? Shoulda never doubted her.
never doubt grandma. Okay, I love it. So, when folks are coming into Vinton County, what could they expect? And I know as you're on the show notes that you help send us in our questionnaire, you basically said there's like one traffic light in Vinton County. And when I did my Google Maps search, just so I knew where it was, it's like you've got Main Street and another street going crosswise, and it's like, okay, that's it. But
Mhm.
what are people going to expect when they come in for the day or a long weekend?
Yeah, so there is one stoplight, like I said. So it's funny because a lot of times when people come to my office, which my office is located right beside the one traffic light. So people say, "Well, where do I go?" And I'll say, "Okay, you go to the red light and you head X amount of miles." And so it's but in every direction there's a lot of outdoor recreation. That's kind of our biggest asset that we have here. you'll definitely, I always like to say every road leads to a beautiful destination here. You will find something beautiful just about anywhere you go. We have the second largest state forest in Ohio here. We have several state parks. We've got a lot of lakes. We have a lot of public hunting land as well. So that's where we do get a lot of our visitors is they'll come down here and hunt. Um, we've got miles and miles of hiking trails. We have bridle trails as well for the equestrian lovers. I personally
Mhm.
love to ride horses, so we're very blessed to have a lot of horseback riding trails here. And then, like I said, we are located close to Hocking Hills, so there are a lot of trails there and beautiful like rock formations, like I said. And some of that does spill over into Vinton County. So we do have there are some people's houses that have like caves in their woods and stuff.
Oh,
I
wow.
know the local place you can go horseback riding here. It's called BS Ranch and Trail Rides. I rode there last summer. They just opened up, and they have some like little caves back on their property that you get to ride past when it's a guided trail ride. So for tourists, if you don't have your own horses or you don't typically ride horses, you can go on this guided ride and they'll kind of walk you through everything you need to do. And it's really cool experience.
Okay. So I am curious, and I don't hear the word hunting a lot when I am on the interviews with the destinations. And the reason it kind of tweaked my back of the mind is starting to do some work with upland bird hunting, quail, pheasant, woodcocks, things like that. But what if if somebody was a hunting aficionado, they just like to get out in nature and do some hunting. What are they going to hunt?
So I know turkey hunting is a big thing here, and then of course deer.
Okay,
I have some friends that go squirrel hunting. I think there's different birds that you can hunt, but I unfortunately don't know which ones.
that's
But
okay.
I do know turkey and deer are like the 2 main ones. And then, like I said, squirrel and rabbit. But
Okay. All right. I'm not going to ask about squirrel or rabbit. I know back home in Chicago. So I live in Las Vegas, but I moved here from Chicago. And one of my good friends, Jenny, grew up in Belgium. And I know rabbit stew is a very popular dish. And I am a foodie, but I draw my line in certain places. But I do want to talk about food. Let me ask you perhaps the most important question. Is there good coffee to be found in the county?
oh, absolutely. So we have a coffee shop. It's unfortunately, but fortunately, right on the other side of me. So I told him, I jokingly say I should just have my paychecks deposited there because I go there a lot. It's called Smokin' Beans, and it's a kind of a neat story. So it's the owner has Spring Street Sports, and they do like it's like a print shop. So they do trophies and T-shirts and all kinds of different printing things, banners and signs. And it started on Spring Street in MacArthur, and it was just
Mhm,
a little addition to his house, and you could go in there and get your T-shirts made. And then he outgrew that, and he ended up moving into another building, which was shared with the Bronzer, our tanning salon.
mhm.
And then he outgrew that, and he ended up going to a bigger building. And so now he's in that building, and he had some extra space, and he was like, "Well, what can I do, and what do we need?" So he ended up adding like a coffee bar into the print shops. So you walk in, and there's uh, like a display kind of thing. So it feels like it's a separate shop in there, and it is the best coffee I have ever had. So and I'm totally biased, but I think a lot of people would agree with me. But it's funny because whenever I lived here and was in high school, we didn't have a coffee shop, and I moved away and I came back home and somebody was like, "Oh, what coffee do you like? I'll get you a coffee one morning." And I was like, I mean, what McDonald's, I guess. And they're like, no, like from Smoking Beans. And I was like, wait, what? So then I found out there's a coffee shop. So like I think it was my first day on the job. I walked down there and I got a coffee and I was like, I'm never going anywhere
I'm
again.
hooked, I'm hooked.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
I it is my goal, literally, so I have a there is a business model behind this podcast, so let's be public about it. I wanna go to these destinations, and I wanna interview the businesses, whether it's the brick and mortar restaurant, the coffee shop, the sports, experience type of, service, but I love coffee. I could hang out in a coffee shop, like, all day. I think that's the perfect place to record a podcast episode, personally.
Yes. Yeah.
Uh,
They're,
all right.
it's so funny too. Whenever I first started, I had a meeting like one evening. And so I left the office and I just went down there and was working just because working in a coffee shop's great. And
Yes.
I was editing a video and I had my headphones in and I was just working, like, no one else in the room mattered. And then my phone rang and I look up finally and there's nobody else there and all the chairs were on the table and they were, like, mopping and I was like, "Did they close?" So I walked over to the girls, I was like, "Are you guys closed?" And she was like, "Yeah, we close at 6." I looked down at 6:45 and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry." And they're like, "No, it's okay. You were working. We didn't wanna interrupt." So they're very awesome in there and they'll let you work way past their closing. So
Oh, that is fantastic. I
yeah,
love that. Well, I definitely want to hear more about the coffee shop, and then we're going to hopefully have a visit of your website. You'll take us on a tour of. But what other are some of the nice experiences? So you've got the hiking trails, the biking trails. I imagine there's different levels of biking trails, from the extreme biking to the flat, which is probably more my style. See, I sit too much. But what is from an outdoor experience? Is there? Would you say there's something for everyone, regardless of age or skill level, in terms of the outdoor experiences?
yeah, I would say so. So, like, we have at Lake Elma State Park, there is hiking trails in the woods, but there is also a loop around the lake that's on pavement, so it's accessible to anyone. You can bike hold on, walk, bike, run. I was combining my words there. And you can also, like, if you're in a wheelchair, you could go on it as well. And same thing with the Moonville Rail Trail. It goes through the historic Moonville Tunnel, which there's a lot of fun ghost stories there. But the rail trail, there are sections of it that are accessible, which is really nice. And you could also take horses on that trail. So you can horse, walk, ride, wheel, however you wanna go on that trail. But there are a couple sections where there's bridges out that they're rebuilding, so you can't go from the full trail unless you wanna go through a creek, but, the
Okay.
other parts of the trail are fairly accessible.
Okay. I have a number of guests that have been on the podcast, and I'm not even going to attempt to remember what their names are, but have had physical disabilities, and they were in wheelchairs, and I'm sure they would love to know this. You have accommodated their need, the trail around the lake, or the tunnel trail, and other parts of the trail system, and because everybody needs to be able to get out, and just mental health in nature, that's another
Yes.
facet of the podcast we're starting to explore. And just this day and age, we got to be able to get outside and put our feet on the ground, so to speak, or
Right.
touch the trees. Now, you mentioned horseback riding, and so that's still pretty active. That you find folks riding down the street on their horses, or is it still left out into the country in those trails?
Um, I think the only time I ever really see people we have a pretty large Amish community, so, of course,
Okay.
there's gonna be horse and buggies on the streets.
Okay.
Um Sometimes I will see people on their horses on the roads if they are riding the trails and they're going from one trail to another, or they might get off of a horse trail and ride the road for a little bit. I know where I live is like out in the country, which our whole county is pretty much in the country, but we do have the little village of MacArthur. But outside from that, like on my road, I see my neighbors will ride their horses down the road sometimes and stuff, but it's not super common.
Okay. Okay. You mentioned again the being out into the country. You mentioned this other town. One of my loves since coming out to Nevada is to get out into the desert and the dark skies. I want to see the Milky Way, take photos of it or of the constellations. How is it? What's it like at night in Vinton County? Is it like pitch black dark? You sit outside and enjoy the light. The what do you call the light bugs? The fire. I forget.
Fireflies.
There you go, fireflies. I've been out in the desert too long, and just enjoy that, sit outside, look at the stars. I mean, is there some good quality stargazing around?
Oh, absolutely, yes. So, uh, ugh, I'm trying to think of when the last moon wolf moon, I think is what it was,
Okay.
January. I went on a drive with my dad just to find this moon, and it didn't take long. I mean, like, we got to the end of my road and you could see it, and it was big and beautiful, and you could almost always see stars. That is one thing I missed so much whenever I was living in the city was being able to just walk outside and see stars. We have several points in the county that are pretty high, so and there's, like, no light pollution, so you can go and you can look at the stars there. It's truly gorgeous, and we were actually fortunate enough, I think it was back in the fall maybe? My timeline might be off, but you could actually see the Northern Lights here for a little bit,
Oh,
which was
really?
so fascinating. Because I mean, one of my bucket list items was to be able to see those someday,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I don't know if I'll ever make it up north, but to be able to see them from my front porch was just incredible. So I'll share pictures of that with you, later, you can check that out, but it was really,
Perfect.
really cool.
I love it. Now, before we go to the website, one last question. In addition to the outdoor experiences in the county, what are some of the festivals and events that are gonna be bringing folks in for a day trip or a long weekend or or just a normal weekend visit?
Yeah, so this year we have a couple new festivals, which I'm really excited for. So the first one will be kicking off actually in March. We're kind of doing a month-long celebration, but there's one day, March 23rd, which is kind of
Mhm.
where most of the stuff is happening because Vinton County was established 175 years ago. So we're celebrating the creation of our county. So
Oh,
we're
wow.
having 175-year birthday bash at the park, and there's going to be food trucks set up. We're kind of setting it up like a picnic in the park. So you just kind of come, get your food, hang out, and share stories with your neighbors and community, and there'll be a cornhole tournament, and there's different businesses doing stuff all month long, which is featured on my website. And then in May, the first full weekend in May, we have the Turkey Festival. As I mentioned, turkey hunting is a big thing here. So this festival was started, I believe, in the 80s, to celebrate the tradition of turkey hunting. So that's a weekend long. It's Thursday through Sunday. So that's a lot of fun to go. And my brother's favorite thing is getting a giant turkey leg. And then there's a guy that sets up and has mugs of root beer, and you can refill it like all weekend. So Zach's always happy to enjoy that. And then after that, we have a 4th of July celebration in July. Oh, and in June, sorry, I got ahead of myself. The Southern Ohio Forest Rally comes through. So it's not quite a festival, but it's a really fun event for people to come and check out all the rally cars. And then they do a race throughout the forest. And you can like tune into that on your phone, which is cool. And then in October, they usually do there's a Moonville, festival that's around Moonville Tunnel, but the
Mhm.
new festival that's coming this year is gonna be in August. It's the Hocking Hills Bigfoot Festival. It's actually moving from Hocking County to Vinton County, and that'll be at our fairgrounds. It is the week after our junior fair, I believe. So it's August 7th through the 10th. So if you're a Bigfoot hunter, a Bigfoot lover, it's the place to be because there's a lot of different Bigfoot themed things. They're doing different Bigfoot hikes and a squatch and seek and all kinds of fun stuff there. So that's pretty exciting. And then we have a traditional like Christmas in downtown event. And I'm sure there's more events that I'm probably forgetting, but those are some of the main ones that people get most excited for.
Sounds very nice, and I know you'd mentioned, earlier the ghosts, like, in the tunnels, and so I imagine just being out in the country like this, you also have some pretty good ghost stories, uh,
Yes, yeah, we have
going
a
on as
lady
well.
that, writes books about the ghost stories, 21 Crows, you can check that out, and she does, guided haunted walks, or, like, ghost story walks through the Moonville Tunnel and stuff, so you can go on one of her walks and hear the legends of the tunnel, and, she'll do different walks at different places and talk about the stories, it's cool.
I love it, I love it. Well, listen, I am, going to head on over to the website, and with the miracle of technology, I wanna share my screen with you, and I'd love if you could just take us on a tour.
Absolutely.
So here it is. Alright. So, I love the logo, by the way. It's very
Thank you.
nice.
Thank you. Yes, I guess I should have added another big hunting thing for us is morel hunting, like
Yeah.
mushrooms.
Ooh,
So, a lot of
morels.
that yeah, that's why I put that in the logo there. I actually drew that logo.
There it
Yeah.
is.
Yep, and a lot of people love to eat morel mushrooms. I personally am not a fan, but I know that it's a big deal here.
Okay, very
Yep.
good. Well, you've got the poor deer who's in someone's sights. You got the morel, the nice spruce tree, the house, and what is the background? Is it like the moon or the sun? The
So, it was just color, honestly,
color?
and I've
Okay.
had people ask me if I'd made a moon for Moonville, and I was like, sure."
Sure, yeah, see,
No,
there you
it
go.
was it was a happy accident. I just wanted some color to the background, that way you could see the letters, so, I mean, There was no rhyme or reason for it, but it kind of worked in my favor, I guess.
I think you did a great job. All right,
Thank
so, uh, where should we go?
Well, let's see. If you go to play up
Okay,
at the
let's go to
top
play.
there,
All
it's
right.
gonna hover down and you're gonna see trails.
Okay,
If you click on trails there,
okay,
and then if you scroll down and see where it says biking, if you click on the picture there,
okay.
that will I know you had talked about the difficulty level of the
Right.
biking trails. So if you scroll down, I actually took it upon myself to drive to every trailhead that we had, the ones that I could find anyway, and take
Oh,
a picture of
nice.
the trailhead. And then I created these graphics of what park it's in, the location, the name of the trail, what you can do on it, whether it's walk or bike or bring your pets, how many miles, and the difficulty level of it. So
Okay.
if you're interested in biking, or I mean, I did this for all the trails and hiking and everything. So you can kind of get the information before you go and know if you're on the right trail. And then at the very bottom there, I have the maps. So if you click on it, you can download the map straight from the state park site or whatever. Uh, and
Okay.
then this one just links you to their website where it's got the whole section map. So the Buckeye
Right.
Trail is actually a 1,400 mile, or I think it's
Oh,
14 plus now, trail loop
okay.
throughout the whole state of Ohio. And we
Okay.
enough to have 15 miles in Vinton County. So you can walk from Tar Hollow State Park, which is in Vinton County, part of it is, to Ash Cave, which is part of Hocking Hills. So you can technically walk through 3 counties,
Okay.
on the Buckeye Trail. I mean, you could walk through a lot more, but if you wanted to connect yourself from Ross County to Vinton County to Hocking County, you could follow the Buckeye Trail.
Okay. Very nice. Very nice. All right. You can see on the map there's Cleveland, Columbus. I guess I didn't realize Columbus was really in the southern part of the state. Okay. Toledo, there's Tony. You ever been to Tony Paco's?
No.
Oh my God. I grew up in the Detroit suburbs. We used to go to Toledo. There's a famous, world famous bar restaurant called Tony Paco's, and they make Hungarian hot dogs, the
I have to check
best.
it out. I
Yeah, I'll
do
have
love
to
hot
check it
dogs.
out. There you go. There you go. All right, so let's go ahead back. Yeah, I love the what you've done. I mean, just made it very easy for folks to kind of learn more about what the trail is. I mean, hey, I can even do 4.5 miles on a bike, so not a problem. Very cool. So where else
Thank
should we go?
And then another one, if you hit the back button there, to
Okay.
the left of the Discover Biking.
Hmm.
Another thing, if you go down to driving,
Okay.
click there. This one, when we were talking about accessibility, I wanted to touch back on this. So click on Quilt Barns. That's our longest one. We do have a couple different things you can do for like driving trails. So if you don't want to get out and walk. So I've listed, we have over 20 quilt barns in the county. So I want
Oh,
to put pictures of all of those as well. And I put the
okay.
addresses on there. So if people want to drive around and look at the different quilt barns, it's just something kind of fun if it's a rainy day or if you just don't feel like walking, but you want to get out and move. You can get in your car and go for a Sunday drive and find some of these quilt barns. Some of them are located on people's houses, though, of course, so be respectful of that. But
Of
there's
course.
some on like Uncle Buck's riding stables. It's another horseback riding place, so you can go um, horseback riding, and then he's got one of the quilt barns there, and then it's also a restaurant and dance barn out there. So you kind of get a
Okay.
3 for 1 in that one. But
Well, very cool. You know what I like about this too? I mean, this is like a photographer's dream. I mean, with some of the barns and how they're situated,
Mhm.
what the sky looks like, and just get out for a drive, get some fresh air, and at the same time, you get to get some good photography in. I think
Yeah,
this person needs to, I think maybe there's something missing there. I don't know. We'll see. Okay. Okay. I see the maple leaf. It's just a little, uh,
yeah, that one was a little hard to get. It's like on a
okay.
curve, and I was driving around by myself, so I was like, "No, I gotta take these pictures quickly."
Okay. Well, this is
My mom
cool.
and my mom and
Yeah.
dad did go to a few with me, so yeah.
All right. All right. See, that's good. You got this is like a almost like the family business.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
my dad did build the furniture in my office for me. I recruited him for help. I was like, "Hey, I don't wanna use a drill, so I need you." So,
Thank you, Daddy-O. I love it.
yes, yes,
Okay.
it's family affair.
Okay. Excellent. So we've
Yeah,
got the
and then,
driving tours. Where else should we go?
if you wanna go to the stay page, go up to the top again, go hover over stay, and then it'll
Yeah.
drop down to lodging if you click that.
Okay.
So this
Yeah, I
page,
was on this page. There were some kind of cool places here.
yes, yeah. So I built this whole website myself, and this page was the most difficult but most rewarding page to build. So I went through and did the research to find as many of the lodging facilities in the county as I can. And it's funny because like 5 minutes before you and I jumped on our call, I had someone email me and say, my cab is not listed. So I was going through adding even more. So I
Okay.
feel like I'm adding them every single day. If you want to come to Vinton County and you want to stay here, you can go to our website, go to this page, and you can actually filter it at the top up there by whether or not you want some place that's pet friendly, if they have a hot tub, all of that, you can select all the filters and then search, and it'll narrow it down to all the cabins that fit the criteria you're looking for. And
Okay.
then click on one of the individual cabins. It will then bring you to a page that just has a link for you to go. If you see on the top, it says
Okay.
now. And then you scroll up just a little bit more, and then you
Oh,
can click now, and it'll take you to the site that they have it listed on to like
okay.
book it them.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Gotcha. Book now. Okay, excellent. By the way, this one kind of stood out for me. I'm a front porch or a fire pit kind of guy in the morning with my cup of coffee,
Yes.
and in the evening with a beverage of choice, whatever that might be.
Yeah, we have a lot of unique lodging. It's really cool, like Aspen right there, it's like a little
Yeah.
hub excuse me, like Hobbit type house.
Yeah.
We have a castle you can stay in,
Oh wow.
some dome houses, like or they're like the metal domes you can stay in,
Mhm.
like Blue Jay's an old shipping container. I mean, there's just tons of different variety. There's some that are no cell service, so you can come and get a truly disconnected type of vacation. There's a lot of interesting different things you can stay on and some yurts and stuff like that.
Very cool. Well, this is fair. So, I mean, you really are able to accommodate a fair number of visitors coming into the community at any given point in time. Which actually brings me to a question would typically ask is, would you consider Vinton County to be a four-season county for
Absolutely.
visitors? Okay.
Yes. So that is actually something we're trying to push more is that we are a Four Seasons destination because
Mhm.
a lot of people want to come here to look at the fall foliage. The leaves on the trees here are just amazing.
I can
And
imagine.
then of course in summer they want to come to do boating or hiking or whatever, and then in spring. But winter we kind of fall off a little bit because people are like, oh, what's there to do in the winter? Which um I've been on a winter bird hike at Lake Hope before and saw some
Okay.
beautiful cardinals and snow. And so, I mean,
Ah,
things you can do in the winter, but also you can just, like you said, sit on that front porch with a cup of coffee from smoking beans and enjoy the snowfall. And usually our winters aren't too bad here, so you can still go out and enjoy it. But I mean, every season here is beautiful. Of course, I'm biased, but I think they're
I
all
love it. Well, and you mentioned one of the other magic words, birds. I love birds. I especially love cardinals. That's what I miss about being here in Las Vegas. We don't have cardinals, but I mean, I grew up, and whether it was the Detroit suburbs or Chicago, whenever I heard the cardinal, I always knew spring was right around the corner.
yes,
And
yeah. I don't know if it's quite really a hidden gem. I don't know if a lot of people know about it or not, but Lake Hope State Park has a nature center,
yeah,
and I love to just go up there, and they've got a bunch of feeders and stuff, so you can just sit there and watch the birds. Like, my dad and I went there. He actually went on the bird hike with me. I used to work for the newspaper when I was in high school, and so I would also drag him along to my adventures then.
hmm,
And we went up there, and I took pictures of birds for probably like 2 hours. Like, he was probably so sick of me, but I mean, it's a great place to go and look at birds, and I know they do a lot of bird hikes out there as well.
okay, okay. Well, I just saw here the 175th bash.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
So there's, like I said, a lot of different businesses are involved. So like Mamarini,
okay.
every day for the month of March, you can get a one item 12-inch pizza for $6.99.
I'll be there. I'll be there.
Yes, yeah, and their pizza is so good. It's the kind that like the pepperonis cup up and they fill with the grease, and it's just
Mm,
great comfort food. Which I mean, I think all of our restaurants in town are fantastic, don't get me wrong,
yeah.
but
All
yeah.
right. La Petite Chevalier Vineyards and Farm Winery. Who knew? You have got wineries in Ohio. Very
Yes,
cool.
yeah, so actually, Ohio is becoming pretty big in the wine industry. I just attended a meeting, last month. There's a lot of vineyards and wineries popping up, which we only have one in Vinton County. There is well, one that you can publicly go to. There is another vineyard, but they don't have, like, a tasting room or anything.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
but yeah, Le Petit, they're doing a Vinton County Strapple, which is a specialty slushy every Saturday,
Yeah.
but for the month of March. But they usually every Saturday from March to I think October, they do food trucks every Saturday out at the winery. And so they'll sometimes also have like rolled ice cream or permanent jewelry out there that you can get done. And it's just a really fun atmosphere, beautiful scenery. They also have two Airbnbs that you can stay at on the property as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Well, this is fascinating. Would you consider Vinton County and the surrounding towns? You get by the okay. Another in the spirit of full disclosure for you is I'm always looking for my next place to live, and I'm thinking this is a kind of a cool place. You got coffee, so that's like fifth. That's like that hits the top 10 list or top
Yes.
5 list. Oh, this is pretty cool though. So I bet you get a lot of folks just kind of moving in because they just want to get away from the big city. It's like I just want quiet and stars and
Yeah,
little.
we don't have a city in Vinton County. We only have villages. So
Okay,
you won't get that city life here.
nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with
No,
that.
not at all.
Okay. Very cool. Now, I know you got your social sites, you got your contact us. Any other place on the website you'd like to draw attention to?
Um, I mean, it's all great. So you could pick anything and
Uh, all right.
all of the places here are great. So
Very good. Well, let's do a
whatever you want
quick
to go with.
eat because I'm a foodie. You're a foodie, I can tell. There's the winery. There's Mama Rini's.
Yes.
Okay. Well, got to have the Mickey D's, but
McDonald's and Subway are our only fast foods. So
okay. Very good. And there's smoking beans. Right.
yes,
That's
that
what's
was one of my coffees that
all right. Okay. Coffee and barbecue supply. I love that. Very and there's the menu. Okay, very cool. Very nice. I mean, it's what I love about it. I mean, there's like a you can become a regular at any one of these places, and it just it's like you walk in the door of the coffee shop and they already have your drink ready. Okay,
yes.
Amanda's coming. All right. Very
They
cool.
know it's funny because so I excuse me, my favorite coffee is the Spring Street Mocha, which is their signature drink. But I always try something new because I where in my job, people stop in and they'll say, "Well, what should I get?" And so I'll be like, "Well, what do you like?" So the other day I called and I ordered food and they forgot to ask me a question or something or whatever. And one of the girls working was like, "Oh, it's Amanda. It's fine. Like she won't be mad about whatever we do." So it's just nice knowing that they know me well enough to know that even if they messed up my order, I wouldn't care because everything from there is good. So
All right.
yeah.
Well, you don't want to let them take you too much for granted there. So
Right.
I love it. Very good. Well, listen, I'm going to head back to the website or back to our conversation. Thank you for taking us on a little tour there. That was great.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and this sounds like a fun community. I mean, and like you said, it's a four-season destination. You've got outdoors, you've got the small town vibe, you've got some good food, places to stay, the events going on throughout the season. So definitely a great getaway opportunity. I do have one question. I noticed on the map the river that's cutting through. Is there floating on the river? The reason I ask is I was interviewing uh, Explore Gwinnett, which is in Georgia, and the Chattahoochee River. So I think it was Chattahoochee, and they have this tubing event called Shoot the Hooch, which people are literally floating down the river. So, do you have like floating down the river types activities? River?
So we have it's technically a creek,
No.
but it's called Raccoon Creek, but it's pretty big. I mean, I personally I don't know the difference between a creek and a river, but it's a waterway.
We can
But
go do a Google search right now and find out, but
yeah, it just
okay.
got designated as a scenic waterway, which is really cool. And
Nice.
there's an entity called Raccoon Creek Outfitters, and so you can do they'll do like a kayak or canoe down the creek there. So I believe they have tubing, but I could be wrong on that.
Okay.
But you can buy kayaks there, and then you can take them yourself, or you can just rent theirs, and then they have like a bus that will pick you up and drop you
Okay.
off.
Very cool. Now, in addition to the hunting, is there fishing opportunities? along the creeks and,
Yeah,
the
so
lakes?
there are some creeks that you can fish at, and then, of course, the lakes, you can fish at all of the lakes. Our park district also has a property called Tree Beards Retreat with a lake there that you can fish. The 3 other lakes are state park land,
Okay.
and they, or yes, they're all state land, but you can rent boats on 2 of those lakes, and you can go out on, like, pontoons on Lake Hope and fish off of those, or you can just stand along the edge and fish there.
Pontoon I like the idea of pontoons, just sit back and relax, so I don't wanna work, alright. But went fishing for the first time literally last year when I was in Tennessee,
For the
and
first
it's
time
like
ever?
the first time ever was like bluegills on a dock in one of
Okay.
Michigan's lakes. That, to me, did not count. But I mean, literally, what are they, casting and what was the word? Mending, casting and mending with the
Mhm.
fly fishing. It's like, this is fun. And then when I caught my first fish, I mean, look, I'm a little bit older than you are, but I was like, whoa, look at that. So
Yeah, that's
it's all
awesome.
good. It's all good. So I got a question. As you kind of look back in your career now, I mean, this is your second major job, and you were in Pittsburgh and you didn't like that. Good for that. Good for that, because now you're back home and where you
Yeah.
belong. What's been your aha moment? And you kind of look back and the type of work you're doing, you're having fun. And by the way, I haven't met anybody that's in your type of role that doesn't absolutely love it. And
Mhm.
so what's been your aha moment like, "Wow, I get to do this."
Yeah, so last May, I mean, I guess I have a couple, but last May, I went to Ohio Tourism Day on the State House lawn. And I was standing there and I was just telling people about Vinton County and my dad, of course, I signed him up to carry the heavy stuff.
Good old
So
daddy-o.
I know,
He's
right?
loving it. By the way, he's loving it when he
Oh,
gets to
yeah.
take his baby girl.
Yes, yeah, he might complain, but he loves it. So, I stand up there and, I look over at one point, my dad was just, like, standing back watching me, and he just had, like, this look of pride on his face, and I was like I wanted to cry. I was like, "Oh my gosh, did I make it?" And then, another time, I was walking out of the coffee shop, and this girl comes up to me on the sidewalk, and she's like, "Hey, Amanda." And I didn't know who she was, and she was like, probably 10 years older than me. And I turned around and I was like, "Yeah, can I help you?" And I thought I, like, forgot something, and she was like, "I just wanted to let you know you're doing an amazing job." She's like, "I follow the Facebook. I see the work you're doing. It's awesome. Like, you're just doing an incredible job, and you make me so proud to be from here, and everything you're doing is just paying off." So, like, that was just really rewarding for me because growing up, a lot of people, like, always say, like, "Oh, I'm from Vinton County," because we're the least populated county in Ohio. There's high poverty rates here. Everyone's favorite thing is, "There's nothing to do here." Well, there's plenty to do, you just have to look for it, you have to go outside.
Nice.
So, growing up, where I'd always hear people say, like, "I hate to be from Vinton County," whatever, and I mean, I'm guilty of it, I moved away, so I can't say that I'm any better than the rest, but once I came back, like I said, with a different perspective, and I was like, "Okay, I wanna change other people's perspectives, like, I wanna help make this a place that you're proud to be from." And I think that it's kind of changed a lot because a
Mhm,
lot of people now are coming to me saying, like, "Oh my gosh, the work that you're doing has made me realize that this is a cool place to be from."
mhm,
So, that kinda was like, "Oh, wow, I'm doing something." And even yesterday, someone called me and they were like, "As a business owner, thank you, but as a resident, I wanna thank you even more because
mhm.
you've instilled pride in me to be where I'm from." So,
I
like,
love it.
yeah, so that kinda just that helps, and I mean, I don't do it for that, I do it just because I love doing it, but knowing
Mhm.
that other people kind of get the same feeling that I get from this job. So, I guess that's kind of my aha moment.
No, I love it, and when somebody off the street that maybe you know or don't know, and they they see the changes that are happening, and you're right, a lot of times we don't know what we have until we've left,
Right.
and we wanna come back, and that speaks volumes, uh and I think your businesses, the coffee shop, the Mammarini's, and or any of the other the winery, they all have stories, and it's just
Mhm.
a great way to hear those stories and bring them into the community, and bring others
Yes.
into the community that maybe they hadn't thought about it. Like, it's an easy weekend away, it's an easy day trip for that matter. I love it.
Right, yeah, we have a local clothing boutique, and I did a YouTube video. I have a YouTube series called The Heart Behind It, and she was the first person I did. I've known her my whole life, so I was like, "Hey, can I try out this video series on you and see how it goes?" And one thing she said was, "When people come in here, I hope they see the heart behind it." And I was like, "Oh, that's really good." So I started this video series and call it The Heart Behind It to interview different businesses and things that contribute to our community's heartbeat. And through this series, I've just found so many stories that I didn't even know. And like I said, I grew up here my whole life. And so I thought, oh, I know everything about the county. I've been here the last 23 years. But then I'm meeting all of these people and having conversations with them that I would have never had before. So I just am extremely grateful to have the opportunity to share those stories because, like you said, I mean, every little shop has its story and something different and unique that people might not realize if they just stop in one day and then leave quickly.
There you go. There you go. Any final insight that you'd like to share with our listeners? It could be a book, a quote, some experience. Again, our goal is to help you promote Vinton County, but also for our listeners want to make a trip, wherever they're from. Any final?
Right. Yeah. That's tough. I know we had talked about that already, and I had mentioned that Mama Marini's toast was one of my favorite things. Um, but that's tough. I mean, if you come here, you gotta try Mama Marini's toast. Just
Okay.
white toast with butter. It is spectacular. Whenever I would come home from college, I would go in there to eat, and they'd say, "Do you want some toast?" Didn't matter what time of day it was. Even if it was dinner time, I would get toast with whatever I was ordering. So, that is my you must try when you come. But as far as inside, I mean, it's just you gotta come. I can talk it up as much as I want, but until you see the true beauty of it, then you won't fall in love until you're here and you see the rolling hills and all the beautiful views and scenery and everything.
I love it. Well, I know there's at least a coffee shop on my list, and well, definitely Mama Rina's with the pizza. I've got to watch what I eat. Coffee, I can still. Nobody has said no. You can't have coffee anymore. But
Right.
all right. Listen, before we head out, and I know you've taken us on a great tour of the website, but just if our listeners would like to learn more about you and your work, where do you want to send them?
Yeah, so obviously you can go to the website, but if they wanna keep up with all of the information on Vinton County, we do have a newsletter. When you get on the website, there's a pop-up for you to sign up for it. And then, of course, follow us on social media. Facebook is where we share most of our posts, and that's the easiest way to stay connected.
Excellent. Well, we will provide those backlinks to the website, discovervintoncounty.com, as well as the social sites. And also in our show notes, we'll have some backlinks to some of the businesses that you shared with us as well. Amanda, it's been a pleasure to have you on the podcast and really appreciate you sharing everything that Vinton County has to offer. I mean, you've sold me. I want to come for a visit, and who knows? I think maybe it is on the top 10 list of places to live next. I mean, I love Vegas. I love the desert, but I'm always looking. I'm an opportunistic podcaster.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you having me.
Listen, stay in a line. We're going to do a real quick close, and you and I can have a final chat. Okay.
Mhm.
All right, folks. We have just been chatting with Amanda Boring. She is the executive director for Vinton County Department of Tourism, the small, least populated county in the whole state of Ohio. But let me tell you, the outdoor experiences, just the small village feel community I mean, it's where it's at. So if you need a quick getaway from wherever you're at, this is definitely the place to be. There's some good experiences, good food, and it sounds like a really close knit community. So you can't beat that. And it's a four-season destination. So whenever you feel the need to get out, this is where you got to go. Now, do go out and visit them on their website. Again, discovervintoncounty.com. They are on Facebook and Instagram. I think we're also going to put a backlink to Amanda's YouTube channel. And I even think I know the tagline of the headline for this episode. So I'll have to clear that with Amanda afterwards. But listen, folks, I hope you enjoyed this episode. As for us, you can find us on outdooradventureseries.com. We're also on LinkedIn and Facebook on our Outdoor Adventure Series pages. This whole episode will be up on YouTube as a video, and you'll be able to see some of the touring we took of the website and with Amanda's guidance. But of course, wherever you listen to your podcast, just search for outdooradventureseries.com and you can listen to the audio of this episode. And remember, if it's our website or some of the podcast directories, we always love likes, comments, and sharing. We especially like 5-star reviews. I think we do a pretty good job. We've got great guests, but we want to hear from you as well. Okay, folks, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, go out there, have a phenomenal day, and we look forward to having you join us on a future episode of the Outdoor Adventure Series podcast. Take care now.